Welcome to another episode of the Influxer Media podcast. We have Ben from Canada here, ready to tell his story and talk about his journey and tell us a little bit more about Canada. So, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
Yeah, I'm Ben Hendriks. I'm from just outside of Toronto in Ontario. I'm from a city called Mississauga. It's like a city outside of the city, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
I lived there all my life and played with a great basketball program out there at Orangeville Prep, and thankfully through playing with CIA Bounce and Orangeville Prep, I got the opportunity to come to the States, and now I'm in the Bahamas playing in a big tournament and having a great interview.
That's awesome. Well, what was your first memory of picking up a basketball?
Yeah, I remember because I was playing hockey at the time.
Yeah.
Funny enough, and I was playing both basketball and hockey. And it'd be hockey in the mornings, and then so both my parents played basketball, and so I was pretty tall for my age. Yeah. So they one day brought me to a team. It was the Mississauga Monarchs, because I think the name of the team was. And
how old were you?
I can barely remember, like 5, maybe 6. I was just a kid, and it wasn't really competitive. It was more of like you throw your kids in there and they learn a thing or two, and from what I remember, I just went out there and I was playing. I wasn't real good, but I think I had a bit of fun. And as time went on, it just sort of grew on me more, and eventually having to come and pick between two sports, I picked basketball.
So I know that NHL and NBA, those seasons are kind of at the exact same time. Was that how it was? Growing up as well?
Oh yeah, it would be like basketball practice would be at night, and then hockey would be morning to midday, and then evening was all basketball. And sometimes I'd have to pick between basketball and hockey, and which was a conflict of interest, I guess you could say.
So when did that switch happen?
Yeah, I think I was 12 when I really started focusing on basketball a lot more. I was still playing a bit of hockey, but it wasn't nearly as serious yet or anymore. And
so you said both your parents played.
Yep.
Basketball.
My dad played. They both played in university in Canada.
Okay.
And if I was to compare the two, I'd say my mom might have been a better overall player. Yeah. Hopefully my dad doesn't listen to this, because he'll get mad at me about that. But my mom, she was real good, and my dad, they played at Head University together, and that's how they actually met.
Wow. So they played at the same university.
Yeah, they played at the same time, and they both were. From what I know, they said that they were both injured. They both sprained their ankles or something like that, and they were in the ice baths, and they just started talking.
Wow, what are the odds?
Yeah.
And then here you are.
Exactly.
Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have an older sister, Kaya.
Does she play basketball?
No, she's working with like a youth and kids sort of. I don't want to say it's like trying to give them better opportunities.
Yeah, back home.
Yeah. And she was away for a while. I think she was in Nova Scotia. I think she was up in Nova Scotia, and she was working at a camp out there, and she was flown to another camp just around outside, because I guess they had an emergency out there or something like that. But no, she said it was great. She had a lot of fun out there, and it was really eye-opening to work behind the people that she did, and I'm really proud of her.
That's awesome. Good for her. And so what are your aspirations, outside of basketball?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, everyone that plays college basketball, or most people would, want to play professional.
Of course. Excluding that,
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't have basketball. What interests you?
I love hockey. I love watching hockey, but if I was to take a professional, it would be, I'm working for a cybersecurity degree right now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, online, and obviously through my school as well. And, hopefully that works out really well. And if something happens with basketball and I have to take a way, I'd take that. And then, going back home and learning how my dad runs his business.
What's your dad's business?
He works, his company is Hickory Dickory Decks. So he's he makes decks. And from what I know, he's been having a great couple of years. So he's real good at what he does. And, and I try to learn what he does. And, he has a huge passion for it. He worked with a company, and then he took sort of a leap to this. He's always been more of an outdoor guy, and wants to do more hands-on stuff. And so when he picked up this franchise, I wasn't really surprised.
Gotcha. No, okay. So then what does your mom do?
So she works with developmentally handicapped adults. and she's been working with them like all since I can remember. And you know, I think that's good for me to sort of see, you know, how they live and how they're treated, and how, you know, you should treat someone. And I think it was when I was younger, I used to call them, you know, challenge, but they don't like to be called challenge. It was there's another phrase for it. I can't remember what it is right now. It's on the tip of my tongue, but yeah, you know, it taught me a lot about, you know, they are still they're people. You know, just because they have, you know, something that's slightly different, you should treat them any different than you would with someone else.
Absolutely.
You know? And she's done a lot of great work with them. And I think she overwatched or watched like heart surgery for them as well. And I was like, it's pretty interesting.
Wow.
I couldn't do that. I'll tell you that much.
Wow. Yeah, that's a sight to see, I'm sure. So, you know, your parents, both working, you know, both doing very well, both doing what they love, and here you are growing up, wanting to play basketball. How impactful were they on your life and getting to where you are now?
Yeah, well, they were completely supportive of me playing, you know, when I was younger, playing both hockey and basketball. And, you know, my parents would never, like, they're always nice to me and all that, but they would never sugarcoat something if it was really serious. And, you know, like, I think the first big serious point was when I had to pick between, you know, the two sports that I really like, you know, basketball and hockey.
Yeah.
And, you know, they gave me the pros and cons of both, and they were evenly weighted. And, you know, I just sort of decided, you know, I'm pretty tall for hockey. So maybe I should go towards the basketball route.
Really?
You know?
Is there too tall for hockey?
Well, it's not too tall. It's just, you know, would I want my knees to work for a couple more years? You know?
Yeah.
There's some guys that are, you know, my height in the league, and, you know, that are like 7 foot in skates and whatnot. But you know, I'm not them.
Speaking of the NHL, who's your team?
Unfortunately, Montreal Canadiens.
Unfortunately,
they
why
are
that?
Like dead last,
That's
pretty much. But I'm not a bandwagoner, so I'm not going to leave them. You know, I love them regardless. You know, they got a great new player, Nick Suzuki, and, you know, I think he's the captain right now. So you know.
So you still follow it pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Really? Yeah.
He's got like a 6-year deal going on. So hopefully, you know.
What's your favorite NBA team then?
Clippers.
Clippers?
Yeah, I was a fan when.
Not the Raptors.
No. No.
All right.
I was a fan of Blake Griffin.
Okay.
And because I was a fan of him, I just was obviously when he was with the Clippers and they were Lob City, you know. Yeah. So I just
so fun
everybody.
To watch them,
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, it was great, fun basketball to watch.
Chris Paul. Oh,
yeah.
That was fun. That was a great time.
Yeah. He left. Everybody left. So I was just like, I'm gonna stay. And then everyone called me a bandwagoner because Kawhi went there, and I was like, no, I've liked them long before that.
That's funny. Oh, because
he won it. He won it for us, you know. And then he went out there, and they're like, "You just following him around." I'm like, no, I've liked him. Great that he went there, though. Great that he went there.
Yeah. So speaking of those, you know, players, you just named off several. I mean, future Hall of Famers. Do you try to emulate your game after a certain player in the league right now?
I want to say sort of. I like look at players and, you know, I want to learn what they do because obviously they're at the highest level of basketball. And, you know, I don't want to say I want to make my game after one player. Right. It's just sort of like I look at what, you know, one player does really well and when another player does really well. I mean, I know I'm not going to be, you know, a guy that's going to dribble up and down the court around people. That's not my thing. But if I can look at, you know, someone's positioning on the court, you know, if I can be better off the ball, you know, and being able to, you know, make them look at me even though I don't have the ball and see what players in the NBA that do, you know, it's just sort of trying to emulate those aspects of their game.
So what players do whose game you really respect?
Out in the NBA, I would say, so on defense, I try my best to be like a prime Joakim Noah. When he was the defensive guy of the year. That was probably my favorite player, especially because I was a Bulls fan way back then. And then now it's, you know, I wouldn't say it's really one player. It's just, you know, there's so many like more versatile bigs now, you know, and it's, you know, they're no longer backing backing people down from, you know, 20 feet out anymore. They're opening up, ripping down, and then shooting and all that, just sort of seeing what they've learned from other people like Dirk. He was like a big change. Everyone's like, this guy's shooting fadeaways over people. And then after that, of course, other people sort of started to follow him. Just sort of seeing what they did to sort of change their game and to change the game around them is stuff that I respect and that I wish to try and learn, I'd say.
Do you have a favorite player right now?
Yeah. So Lauri Markkanen. I
Most people wouldn't say him.
No. But it was because when he played with the Bulls, I went to a Bulls game, and I know someone that sort of works around the Bulls, and they said you should really look at a guy named Lauri Markkanen. And he was playing in Toronto, and obviously I watched him, and I didn't want to, pick and choose a bunch of different players, and I just sort of stick around him. No, I said I do like Blake Griffin. I still like Blake Griffin.
Yeah.
But he's not what he used to be.
He's not in his prime.
Yeah, exactly. He's past that point now. Yeah.
Exactly. No, that's cool. So from Canada to, now Indiana, you came into Ball State and immediately, like out of prep school. Walk me through that transition from Canada to America and that recruiting process, or that process of just getting here in general.
So I played for an EYBL team called CIA Bounce.
Okay.
And through CIA Bounce, I met our old head coach, Coach Whitford. And then, of course, I met all the other staff that were there at that time. And it was at New York to LA. So in Canada, you really play with like one of the power teams that are out there, which is like CIA Bounce. And there's like two other teams that play there's one other team that plays in the EYBL, and I think there's one that plays in Under Armour. And so if you play for those three, those are the three main teams, and then Brookwood Elite, which plays with Adidas. And then in Canada, you also play like at prep schools. And I played with the prep school Athlete Institute, or Orangeville Prep, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
This is where like Jamal Murray went. Got it. And all those guys went. And so unfortunately, I played the year after them. I met them when we went and watched some of their games, but it wasn't. I didn't play with them, unfortunately. So I went to New York to LA, and we were in Milwaukee, I think it was, and we were playing in a tournament out there. And after one of the games, it was like 5-10 minutes after the game, I got a call, and then it was Coach Witt, and he introduced himself and who he was, and it's nice to meet you. And I thought he was going to say, we really liked how you play, and we want to, keep scouting you for the, for the remainder of the year. And said it was like, hey, we'd like to offer you a scholarship. I was like, really? And he was like, yeah. And I was, thank you very much. And I think he did watch me like a couple times before. I don't think it was just like off the one game he offered me a scholarship. I don't think it really works like that. It was just like it was, yeah. So, and from there on out, it just sort of, he was very nice, and all the other coaches were out there were really nice. And when I came down and did my visit, I liked the environment. And one of the guys I was on my visit with is still at the school, Jerron. He's known me since I was in high school, basically.
Did you always know or have a feeling or envision that you would be coming to play basketball in America?
Yeah, I always wanted to. I definitely always wanted to. And then
from how early did you know that?
Probably late middle school or right when I went to high school. It's like, it's just like, okay, this is like the time that I have to, pick and get ready for, my life playing in college or playing in Canada. And everyone wants to go to the States,
That's just so interesting. We talk to a lot of international student athletes, and there's always this prep school, or not always, but a lot of times there's this prep school in between. Yeah. How important it, after high school, but before actual college.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of, I'd say it's prepping you, right? It's prepping you to go to, being at, school that's only for basketball is prepping you for life in university or in college playing basketball. We get early wake ups. Here we wake up early now, but it's not like, we did like the week that was like hell week. Yeah. And it would be up at like 4 a.m. every morning, and we wouldn't go to sleep until like 12.
This is prep school?
Yeah, no, it was only a week, thank God.
Wow.
But there was a name for it. I can't remember what it was, but it was not fun.
What type of classes are you being taught in prep schools?
Well, so it was like a boarding school mix. So we lived at we had like a little house, or I don't even know if you can call it a house, like a miniature half-sized hotel on our campus.
And okay, and this is in Canada.
Yeah. And so we had, like, to sort of draw it out for you, you had the gym,
Right.
and then in between our gym we had like a CrossFit place,
A mini college.
yeah, and then we had our house, and then we had a bus stop. So we live here, for a month or whatever it was at a time, and then we get like a weekend off and we go home if you're from around the area. And so we walk up every morning and we get picked up by the bus. We go to a school called Orangeville District Secondary, ODSS, and we'd be there for like 6, however many hours it is in a day, and then we'd come back and we'd walk right off the bus and walk right into the training facility, and we'd be there from 3:30 till whenever coach let us out of practice.
So is prep school, the one you went to, is it just basketball? Is there other sports that they're doing?
I think they tried with soccer.
Okay.
I think this was after I left, and one of my buddies that's up there, his father coaches there now, and so I get like a little bit of details every now and then. But at the time, it was just basketball, just purely basketball, and then they had like a soccer team at the time, but they didn't live with us. It was just like like an area type thing. They just play in the area.
So how many people were in the school at the time?
So my freshman year there, or I guess it would be my sophomore year there, we had 2 full teams. So it was like 24 kids, something like that. And then we had 3 teams, like for 2 years after that. And it was it was like A, B. It was like an A and then like a B team type thing. But it was like 2 B teams.
And that's it. That's the prep school.
Oh yeah, all of us lived there. All the coaches, we just all lived in there. Oh,
basketball.
That's all it was. It was, you'd wake up, go to class, or you wake up, you do your morning workouts, which is like usually like a light weights, and then depending on maybe conditioning, and then we go shoot around for a little bit, like a skill workout, and then we go to class, come back, we get like a little snack, and you're on the court for your 3-hour practice.
Wow.
Yeah. So all we basically did there was live in basketball.
And how long was this prep school again?
I was there for 3 years. Yeah. And I'm thankful for it every day.
Yeah,
for sure. I went to, before that I went to, a Catholic high school, and, like a uniform and everything. And then, I went there, and it sort of changed my life about how I see how not only professionals, but how you have to do it in college.
Right.
You have to literally every day, you have to breathe basketball.
So what's been the biggest difference between the prep school and then now Division I basketball in America?
I'd say the more freedom. It's like our coaches, coaches won't ever.
More freedom in America.
Yeah. It's like there we were high school kids. Like they had to sort of watch over us in a way.
Right.
But here it's like, I'm 22 years old. They're not going to babysit me. They're not going to babysit, maybe like for the first week, they'll tell the freshmen that are coming in, this is what you got to do. But, I'm 22 years old. They're not going to watch my back, or not watch my back, watch me over my shoulder or anything like that now. It's you do, what you want to do.
So obviously this past year, NIL passed here in the United States, and international student athletes were excluded from that.
Yeah.
And it's really not an NCAA thing. It's obviously a federal government issue.
Yeah.
And I guess how's it been for you?
Yeah, I mean, I've been messaged by a couple of companies.
Syrup companies?
Pardon?
Syrup companies?
Hey, if they want, if they want to, maybe I can work something out with that. But a couple of companies have messaged me, and it's I've gone up to our coach, that's sort of Coach Komar, and sort of brought it up to him. And I went to our school sort of area where they deal with stuff like that. And sometimes it's like there's a lot of work involved in what they have to find out for it. And I'd rather not go down a path where I can get an eligibility issue or something like that.
Of course,
so
safety.
Yeah, and and it's great that you guys are doing this. I think I speak on behalf of every student athlete, especially international athletes that deal with stuff like this. It's like thank you, but yeah, no, this is I've been taught, like they said, I can do stuff from back home, but I'm not back home.
Right.
I'm here for 9 months, 10 months out of the year, pretty much. I'm here. So, you know, it's hard to go and do stuff back home.
Yeah.
So I stuff like this obviously is a great help to, you know, student athletes, or more specifically international student athletes.
Awesome. Well, that was certainly the goal. You know, I hope we took enough content of you today that, you know, you're doing the hand thing. Hopefully we can Photoshop it.
Yeah.
So
A bit of maple
syrup right there in the hand for you, and get you some partnerships. But yeah, that was the whole goal. Is, you know, this is the one opportunity. So let's do all of the active work here in the Bahamas, outside of the U.S. that don't have the same restrictions. And then when you're back home, we as Influxer want to do all the work to, you know, procure those brands, procure those opportunities, and develop those relationships. And then, you know, once we sell them, pass along the royalties to you guys as passive income, which is permissible by, you know, the law. And that's our goal, and that was our intent here. And it's been so awesome working with all of you international student athletes, and how appreciative you all have been. Certainly this is something we've never done before. It's never been done before by anybody. And so we obviously want to repeat this, make it better. You know, we're looking at trips in Cabo next year or next spring that have like golf. Right, golf tournaments that are going on. There's tons of international student athletes there. And so as long as this law hasn't changed, we want to continue to do this year after year. And so, you know, hearing this feedback and hearing, you know, this gratefulness from you guys just assures that, you know, this is something that we need to repeat, and hopefully can make some change, hopefully get some people. And that's why we did this podcast, is so we can get, you know, some of this out there to the world and hear all these stories. We have 18 different countries that we've been talking: Canada, Australia, England, the UK, Spain, Senegal, Mali, Switzerland. I mean, it's just all over the world, 5 different continents, and all these different stories. So it's really cool to hear. And one last question for you: tattoo. Hold it up to the camera. Right there. What is that?
So it's in Dutch. I got it. So I have another tattoo on my chest, and it's the H for my last name, and it's sort of for my family. And this one is basically saying my family is my strength in Dutch. And, you know, when you're sort of away from your family, you can realize some things about, you know, how close you want to be and where you sort of are, and, you know, how you can try and do things to be closer to them. And, you know, that's sort of a big thing that I've realized in the past 3.5 years, going on 4 years now, that, you know, they are like, they're my family. You know, they've been there since I was born, and they're here today, regardless of what, you know, regardless of what happens with me, they'll be there beside me. And so I'm the only person in my, like, out of me, my sister, and my father that has a tattoo, and I have 2 of them. But I think they're okay with it, with the meaning behind it and all that. I don't see them getting one anytime soon, but, you know, all this is just, you know, I'm not going to tattoo all over my body, but it's just something to, you know, say a bit of a thank you to, you know, them always being there for me.
Well, this Thanksgiving.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing you can say, you know, to your parents right now, it is Thanksgiving. They'll obviously probably hear this podcast. So what would you say to them?
Yeah. Well, I love you guys. I wish you guys were all here, and I wish I could see you guys. I haven't seen my sister in a while too. So I wish I could see her too. And, you know, mom, dad, I get to see them in a month.
Okay.
And they're coming down for Christmas. First time they've ever done it.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's awesome. And, you know, so it's a big thank you for that.
I get to watch you play some basketball.
Well, I'll be off for 4 days, I think it is.
Okay.
And I think we play just like a couple days after that, after we get off. So I'm trying to convince them to stay a little bit longer, but then, you know, they have jobs to do too.
They have jobs.
But, you know, them being able to come down and, you know, just spend time with me is, you know, means a lot. And, you know, I try to be, you know, you know, I love you guys. You guys do that, but at the same time, it's, you know, it's my mom, it's my dad. You know, I've known them for 22 years. You know, I love them to death, and you know, I love you guys, and I hope I see you guys soon.
There we go. Well, Ben, it's been a pleasure having you on here and telling your story, and learned a lot about Canada and how that schooling system works, and then a lot about syrup as well. So, you know, hopefully we're going to get you some syrup brands and partnerships that we can sell these assets to, and get you some NIL money. But no, thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much for having me.
Again.
Thank you.
Yeah.